Hey, Life Groups. This is the last week of the In-Between series as we've studied through 1 Peter. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm not going to read every part of 1 Peter 5, I don't think, as we go through this. But man, I love the truths we've learned. We have learned together some great things about what it means to be chosen foreigners, the elect exiles, those whose lives are radically different than the world around because we were the ones radically changed. We're radically different. The world is what it is. We are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a people for God's own possession, a holy nation. That's who we are. Man, I hope you just enjoy that. And not in arrogance, right? We're actually going to see that. But man, by God's grace, that's who I am. So it starts here in 1 Peter 5. So I exhort the elders among you. Remember the principle we've already learned? Example before exhortation. He does it. He's already done all the teaching and love. He said, hey, beloved, right? He's been real careful. Hey, beloved, I'm saying a hard thing. Be here with me. I love you. This is true. We're going to suffer, right? But now he exhorts. So I exhort the elders among you as fellow elder and a witness of the sufferings of Christ, as well as a partaker in the glory that is going to be revealed. Shepherd the flock of God that is among you, exercising oversight, not under compulsion, but willingly as God would have you, not for shameful gain, but eagerly, not domineering over those in your charge, but examples to the flock. And when the chief shepherd appears, you will receive the unfading crown of glory. Likewise, you younger will be subject to the elders. Clothe yourselves, all of you, with humility toward one another, for God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Wow, man. Let me tell you something real quick. Everything that is true or should be true of an elder or a leader in the church should be true of every believer. Stick with me. The teachings that were to husband and wife or to bondservant or to citizen, all those things, right? There are a lot of different, very applied truths. All of them came out of general truths that should be true of every believer, like having a gentle and meek spirit, right? Pastors, leaders are not held to a different standard. They're held to a higher standard. In other words, a higher form of accountability to the exact same standard. This should be true of every believer. We're just held accountable to the standard that should be true of every single one of us. There's not a teaching in the list in Timothy or in Titus or here in Peter that should never be untrue of any follower of Christ. But I'm held accountable at a different level than others. So what does that mean? Righteous leadership for all of us, it has to be this. It's a life call. A shepherd's life is given in the protection, that it's responsibility with accountability. That's what oversight is. That it's willingly given. It's never for a wage. Even though a wage might be earned, you have to be giving of yourself willingly. It's directional. It's not domineering. That there should be a vision and direction. That it's not about control or manipulation. That it's temporary. The chief shepherd's going to appear. Every place that you lead is a temporary form of leadership. My whole life is nothing but a breath or a mist of air that is here one moment and gone the next in the span of eternity. It's true for every single one of us. Parenting, temporary. Everything, temporary. Be faithful with it though. Don't let its temporary status matter. Well, it doesn't matter. It matters deeply. Be faithful to it. It's rewarding. The crown of glory. Man, I love to be encouraged by other believers. Man, there's, no doubt one of the most discouraging thing in the life of any believer, of any leader, is just criticism and people saying negative things to you. Man, you know what's encouraging when somebody says, man, this really spoke to me. Man, this really helped me. Thank you for this. Man, it just encouraged me. Can you imagine one day I'm going to stand before the Lord and I hope to hear him say, well done? Like, he who died for me? Man, all of us should be looking forward to that day as we faithfully serve. Humility has to be put on. Like, you have to choose to wear it. Like, if you're always thinking my opinion is the best opinion, if you're operating that way, if you're the type of person who always needs to email somebody or text somebody or call somebody or call out or say everything you disagree with and how you're getting it wrong, you need to put on some humility. You have to actually choose to put it on. Like we live in a world that does that. People constant on social media, telling everybody why they're wrong. Like, sometimes we just need to not. Like, humility is something you wear. It's practical. It's practical. It's not just this spiritual thing. It's a very practical thing. Put it on. And then, I need to dive into this so I don't go too long. Be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. Resist him, firm in your faith, knowing that the same kind of sufferings are being experienced by your brotherhood throughout the world. So, man, I love this point. Just stick with me real quick. Peter, who was told by the Lord, be watchful and pray, and then the enemy is seeking, I don't remember how he said it in the Garden of Gethsemane right now, and he fell asleep, is now telling us, that Peter is telling us, be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, is like a roaring lion prowling around seeking who he might devour. Man, Satan is to be resisted. It must be sober watchfulness. We need to understand this. This is the truth, though. Satan is a tethered lion. There is no temptation except for that which is common to man. He cannot tempt you further than you have the ability or power in Christ to resist. You have to resist the devil and he will flee from you, as James says kind of in a parallel text about this. You're like, man, he is a defeated foe. But you have to be willing to cast your anxieties on the Lord. That's what it says right before that. Casting all your anxieties on him because he cares for you. Here's the deal. Man, here's that casting of anxieties. Typically what we hold to ourselves are the things that we think matter, and we give to God the things we think are less significant. All right? So whatever it is that you're holding for yourself, whether that's money and you're not being generous and obedient, it's because it's important. It's too important to you. Whether it's your marriage, whatever it is, it's just whatever it is that you're not willing to cast upon the Lord, it's because it's too important to you. Man, we have to just give that to the Lord. Trust the Lord. Man, I hope today you're going to have some great discussions with one another about practically how do you go about casting those anxieties on the Lord. And then really, what are some ways you can be praying for each other about resisting the devil and remembering he's a tethered lion. The King of Kings and Lord of Lords has died once for all sin, the righteous for the unrighteous. And he has no power nor authority over you. He's a caged lion. The enemy. Man, what a beautiful thing. I hope you really have some great discussion around that. Remembering as we end that it is God that restores, confirms, strengthens, and establishes. He puts our lives in orders. He confirms our salvation. That is his work. He strengthens us by his Spirit. He establishes us. He is our firm foundation. Man, he commends the brothers. Babylon here is probably Rome. He's writing from Rome. And then at the end, peace to all of you who are in Christ. Man, I just want to say this as we wrap up. I hope you learned a lot. Man, we got to embrace, not avoid the tensions of our faith. Live in a world that's different than you because you're different than the world, because you've been changed. And so this is my prayer for you. Peace to you.